FBI spells trouble in a wide-ranging investigation of fraud and corruption that has shockwaves going from South Florida to Tallahassee and the Capitol. And Orlando Congressman Alan Grayson says he won't apologize for accusing Republicans in Congress of wanting sick people to die quickly. All of that on Power Play this week with our guests, Steve Bousquet of the St. Petersburg Times and Brittany Benner of Gannett TV. Let's go with this prominent South Florida doctor indicted on a scandal that reaches all the way up high into the Capitol. How deep's it going to go and how bad is it?
Well, it's pretty bad, and we're just beginning to learn the details here, Ron, because there are a lot of unnamed people in the indictment, not charged, but accomplices of Alan Mendelsohn and so forth. This guy wasn't just in the shadows. This guy operated behind the shadows. He was lobbying and not registering. He worked on pari-mutuel stuff. He was a big fundraiser, mainly for Republican legislators. He's a Hollywood, Broward County-based ophthalmologist who wanted to be a power player in Tallahassee.
But anybody who's received a lot of money and contributions through this Dr. Mendelsohn, probably not too happy to be on that list today.
There is no doubt that he has tons of political ties, whether it's in the system, whether it's outside lobbying, even some local PR firms that said they've done business with him. Rick Oppenheim has cleared his name of this, but admitted that there was a relationship there. So there's no doubt that there's a huge tie here in Tallahassee.
When you talk about other accomplices named in the indictment, that means other indictments likely to be coming.
I think so. It's a possibility. And what you have here, too, is you have an investigation that began in the U.S. Attorney's Office in South Florida, but it appears to have been commandeered now by a public corruption unit based in Washington. This is the kind of case that I think scares the living daylights out of a lot of people in the Capitol who've had dealings with this guy, because you don't know where this investigation is going to bottom out.
But doesn't this also speak to these shadowy groups that fundraise and make contributions to campaigns or message in indirect ways? Is there a wave of reform coming about these kinds of groups?
Well, I think one of the waves of reform that we need to address is the fact that there are a lot of lobbying laws out there, and it precludes a lot of people that they don't want to even sign up as a lobbyist anymore because there are so many stipulations to it. Whether that needs review or not, is certainly something that the legislature probably needs to discuss to prevent things like this from happening.
Mendelsohn, to me, is a symbol of a terrible system, a system with corruption in it, where money drives everything.
Wow. All right, let's segue into the freshman Democrat congressman from Orlando, Alan Grayson, who on the floor of the House really maddened Republicans by accusing them of wanting people to die quickly because they oppose Obama's health plan.
His comments were wildly inappropriate, and Floridians send U.S. congressmen up to Washington, D.C. to represent the special interests of people. Yes, it's up for debate. There's a lot of passionate issues right now, especially healthcare, but you also need to maintain some sort of respect, common courtesy, and have obedience for the process up there.
But like it or not, this freshman, who otherwise nobody knows, is now a national name, isn't he?
He is, but there's a fine line here between being, outrageous and being a buffoon. I mean, Grayson is an outspoken guy. He loves the attention. He beat a guy named Rick Keller, who was a very mediocre congressman. This is not a safe Democratic district. I think Grayson's getting way too much attention, making way too much noise for a freshman.
But
furthermore, the Republican Party even called for Webster when he made the comments calling Obama a liar to apologize. He did, and this guy is not.
All right, very quickly, Governor Crist follows through on a promise not to reappoint 2 public service commissioners whom he perceived as too soft on utilities. Thoughts?
Their qualifications are very interesting. I guess we can say that they are utility customers. Beyond that, I guess we'll have to see how they actually rule in these cases.
Further comment.
My colleagues who've covered this a little bit more closely than I have said that the PSC nominating council, which sends the names to the governor, these 2 guys were throw-ins. The nominating council never thinking they'd get picked.
Okay.
So, surprising.
All right, we're going to go to your respective Power Play of the week. Brittany.
Public Service Commissioner Matthew Carter, he graciously accepted Charlie Crist's new appointment. He understands that he still has a tough job to do, especially with these 2 rate case hearings. Yes, and he left it up to a higher power at this point.
And said God and his family still love him. Steve.
It's CFO Alex Sink. On the cabinet meeting agenda, not on the cabinet meeting agenda, but at the meeting, she pushed for stricter governance of the state pension fund, the Board of Administration. The 2 other trustees, Governor Charlie Crist, Attorney General Bill McCollum, said, nope, we're going to defer it. You're moving too quickly here. We're going to take this up later. They basically punted. And I think it plays into Sink's hands a little bit because Sink is going to run against the Tallahassee status quo here.
Campaign issue, possibly.
Possibly, yep.
Steve Bosquet, Brittany Benner, thank you both very much. For the latest political news, go to the Safety Review, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.